G'day. So Andy Scott, one of our founders who has like over 20 years of experience building and operating contact centers, as well as a history of building voice collaboration services, wrote this brilliant article on what I think is one of the most overlooked challenges in cloud contact centers, WebRTC issues. Look, whether you're an IT pro or a contact center manager or simply curious about what makes soft phones tick or fail, then stick around. I'm going to dive into this article and just explore why these hiccups happen and how real time monitoring can be that beacon of light in the darkness that your voice services sometimes find themselves in. So let's start with what is WebRTC? Well, it's the open standard that powers voice and other real time media directly in the browser. Now, unlike traditional VoIP or voice over IP, it doesn't sit on a dedicated network with rigid quality of standard rules. It competes for bandwidth alongside web apps and video streams. And that means that any latency, jitter, or packet loss can turn in a crystal clear call into a bit of a crackly mess in an instant. So, why is this a CCAS issue? Okay, this requires a brief history. And he talks about how back in the mid 90s, voice teams lived in a world of 2G handsets. Yes, 2G. And dedicated voice networks, which were essentially untouchable by data traffic. Then VoIP burst onto the scene, but it still benefited from the enterprise quality of service. WebRTC, however, smashed that separation. Voice had now entered the wild west of the public internet, shoulder to shoulder with every other web app. Suddenly, voice was just another application. Why are these issues unique and why are voice apps so fragile? A few reasons. Real time demands. Human conversations, they just can't buffer. Network fluctuations. So, normal browsing glitches, they go unnoticed, but a few lost packets, that can actually drop a call. Your intermediate devices, firewalls, proxies, intrusion detection systems, they all introduce unpredictable load and latency. And then there's hardware quirks, like cheap headsets or port replicators. They can sabotage your audio stream. Now, it's pretty easy to blame the internet, but there's more to the story. So let's look at some of those root causes. There's peripherals and headsets. A subpar USB mic can wreak havoc. Browser versions, outdated, buggy releases, they can destabilize WebRTC. And I wrote an article on that recently regarding a Chrome update that killed WebRTC. Now, if you're into this, then I think you'll find that one interesting. There's security gear, like your firewalls, your proxies. They might block and throttle your voice traffic. There's your connection type, Wi-Fi jitters versus the steadiness of a wired Ethernet. Then there's the home broadband itself. Its asymmetric speeds can affect your outbound voice data. What does that mean? Think of your home internet as a freeway, and there's 10 lanes speeding you eastbound. That's your download speed. But then only one lane going westbound, which is your upload. Now, most residential broadband is asymmetrical, offering far more downstream capacity than upstream. WebRTC calls, they send your voice out over that skinny upstream lane. So if there's anything else like file backups, video streams, or some rogue Fortnite download, it all starts getting clogged and your voice packets get stuck in traffic, dropped, or delayed. The result is choppy audio delays, even outright call failures. You've also got your PC performance. When your CPU is under load and underpowered, machines struggle. You've also got geographic distance, longer paths mean higher latency and more variance. And then finally, you've got user behavior with like dozens of open tabs, guilty, video streams, or just not rebooting can really tip the scale. Okay, so this is where context now starts to come in. Raw error logs are great, but without a holistic view, they're just noise. And that's why CX observability and real-time insights across your network, software, hardware, and user behavior becomes your secret weapon. It stitches this all together. Network metrics like latency, jitter, loss, application logs, hardware health, user activity patterns. When you correlate these streams, you don't just see a dropped call, you see why it dropped and how to stop it from happening again. So, 3 key takeaways. 1, WebRTC is powerful, but it's sensitive. Voice apps now live in a shared bandwidth world. And 3, troubleshooting needs full context beyond just network stats, which is why real-time CX observability is key. It turns logs into actionable insights. Throughout this journey, every WebRTC hiccup, from jittery audio and packet loss to peripheral glitches and asymmetric bandwidth constraints, directly shapes your customer experience. When voice quality dips, callers endure repeated clarifications, longer handle times, and that creeping frustration, it erodes loyalty and satisfaction. On the flip side, crystal clear, uninterrupted calls streamline resolutions. They boost first call resolution rates and they leave customers feeling heard and valued. So by harnessing proactive CX observability, you not only pinpoint the root cause of issues, but you anticipate and prevent them, which then, it helps you transform each interaction into an opportunity to build trust. So look, definitely check out the article. The link's going to be around here somewhere or in the comments. Until next time, and as always, hooroo.